What's up everyone, my name is Marie, welcome to my channel and welcome to another speed build. So for today's video I am back in the world of Newcrest and I'm building a larger family home on one of the bigger lots. I think it's a 30 by 40 if I'm not mistaken. And this is one of the houses that I am using to fill up the world because I used to never build here because the world is so empty and it's always going to stay that way if I don't start building in it and filling it up with houses. So I started doing that a while back and yeah, so this is one of the houses that I'm definitely using for my version of Newcrest. And it is, like I mentioned, a larger family home. It's for a family of 7 Sims and I was thinking that this house is perfect for a foster family. I did build this house with a foster family in mind, so it's a very spacious house. There's room for lots of kids. And yeah, basically I could have made the house a lot bigger than it is right now because it is on such a large lot. But I decided to just kind of give the house a very big backyard because I thought that would make sense for this kind of family that lives here. And I also just didn't need any more space in the house because it is pretty spacious as it is without being too large. Like, it's not by any means very luxurious or anything. It's just a really family-friendly just a family house. And I was really enjoying building this house. I would say it's a mixture between like craftsman and a farmhouse and suburban or something like that. I don't know, it's just kind of the style that I really enjoy building, and you can see that it really goes hand in hand with the house that is next door. That's also one of the houses that I built in my attempt to fill up Newcrest, and that is a Generations family home. I'll try to link that video either down below or here on screen somewhere. I'll try to remember to do that. I say that sometimes and then I totally forget. So I'll just try to remember to link that video somewhere. But it is kind of built in the same style, which makes sense because both these houses are built by me, obviously, so they're going to have my kind of style, my kind of signature to them, if that makes sense. So yeah, I did really like the idea of those houses kind of going together in that way. So that's why I later on also decided to just go with the same rooftop swatch. What's that called? Roof paneling. I totally forgot the word for that. So that they kind of just go together in that way. And like I mentioned, I was really enjoying building this house. I was really enjoying using a variety of doors and windows and colors on the outside of this house. I really like the shape of the house. It's definitely one of my favorite ways to build. So basically what I did was I just build a box and I just keep adding a lot of boxes to that box to make it look more interesting, to make it look more complicated, quote unquote. It's not really that complicated, but it makes it look a little bit more interesting. And yeah, I just really like seeing a house come together like that by just sitting and starting to build a box and adding boxes and adding roofs as I'm going and adding windows as I'm going, just to see whatever happens. And yeah, that's definitely one of my favorite ways to just sit down and build. And I really, really like the outcome of this one. I really like this sunroom on the back of the house here with the mosquito stuff windows. Whenever I have a chance to use those windows, I really enjoy it because I think those windows are just so pretty and so beautiful. And you can just kind of use a variety of the windows that are closed and the windows that are open to just kind of make it look a little bit more realistic and a little bit less repetitive, if that makes sense. So yeah, I do change up the color of the house a little bit later to a more darker brown with orangey brown because it was just looking a little bit too much like the house next door right now. Here you can see me changing up the color of the paneling, and I'm really happy that I did that because I really like the bluish gray of the brick combined with like that orangey wood tone, and then also a couple of details of that darker wood tone. I don't know, combined with like the bright white crisp windows and doors and everything. I was just really enjoying it. There's a lot of like white details on this house, but that makes it look really crisp and really fresh in my opinion. So yeah, I was just really enjoying building this house, playing around with the colors, playing around with the shape of the house. And like I mentioned, I built this house for a foster family. And whenever I think of a foster family, I immediately think of the TV show The Fosters. I don't know if any of you know that show. It's been a while since it's been on TV. I think it was on Freeform a few years back. I think it started back in like 2013, and they did have like 4 or 5 seasons, if I'm not mistaken. And I think the series ended a couple of years back, I think in like 2018 or maybe 2017, but anyway, it just ended a couple of years back. And I used to watch that show every single week. I'm in the Netherlands, so we don't have Freeform here, but I just watched the episodes online. And that was, back then, it was definitely one of my favorite shows to watch. I just really enjoyed it so much. And so like I mentioned, whenever I think of a foster family, that's definitely the kind of family that just pops up in my brain. So I did use that, I did use that family from that show as an inspiration for the family that lives here, in a way, not completely, but definitely in a way. So if you watch that show, if you know that show, you'll recognize a little bit of the family of that show whenever I'm explaining the family that lives here. So basically what I had in mind was a family of 7 people. There's going to be 2 moms in my storyline, so I just want to really quick, I just want to say that it really doesn't matter the genders and everything that I'm mentioning right now in my storyline. It's just what I had in my mind. So it really doesn't matter, it could be any gender, but what I had in mind was a family of 7 with 2 moms. One of the moms is a police officer and the other mom is a principal at a high school, and that's the high school that a few of the kids go to. So they're 2 moms, they're married, in my storyline, they're married, and they adopted 2 teens a long time ago when they were still babies, the teens, I mean, of course. So those teens, they're twins, and they were adopted by the moms. And then later on, the moms just wanted more children, but they decided that the process of adopting children would just take too long, and they didn't really want to go through that anymore. And they also wanted to just kind of provide a house for kids that need it, which is what happens when you're adopting a child as well, of course, but they just want to look at it a little bit more closer to home, and they just want to provide a home for children that need it, basically. So that's why right now they have the 2 teens that they adopted, and then there's 3 foster kids in the house as well. So I was imagining that the teens, like I mentioned, they're twins, they're a boy and a girl, and they are probably somewhere in like their sophomore year of high school is what I was imagining. So they're not that old yet, they're not like really close to going to college or anything. But they're probably in like their sophomore year of high school. And then there is another girl, she's a child, but she is a little bit older already. I think she is, almost growing up to be a teen, not quite yet, but she'll be a teenager just in in a week or something. She's just a little bit older. So she shares a room with a teen girl, but you'll see that later once we go on to the furnishing of the house. And then there is 2 boys in the house as well, and they are children as well, and they are a little bit younger. So they are definitely not going to high school anytime soon. They're a little bit younger. They play with toys still, and they're just the youngest boys of the house. So there is the moms, there's 2 teens who are twins, then there is a girl, a child, and 2 boys who are also children. So I hope this makes a little bit of sense, but that is the storyline that I had in mind, and I was just really enjoying furnishing a house for a family that I had such a clear vision of what I wanted. And here you can see me playing around with the upstairs floor plan. So there is 3 bedrooms upstairs, and then the moms, they have their bedroom and their ensuite downstairs. Now I'm not going to lie, this floor plan downstairs, I think it took me over an hour to figure that out, and I obviously didn't record all of that because that would just be a little bit pointless. So in a little while you'll just see that everything is way different. But basically the bedroom of the moms right now is on the left side of the house, but it ends up being on the right side of the house, and the stairs are in a different position, stuff like that. But it was just really, I don't know why, but it took me so long to figure out this floor plan. But I really like what I ended up with, because basically what happened is the house is very spacious, and the middle part of the house is really just one big open space, and then the kitchen and the dining room are kind of closed off in a way, with big archways as doors, so still not really closed off. You can see that right there. I made the sunroom into the dining room. I always like doing that. For some reason, I always end up placing my dining rooms in the sunroom, because especially for this family, I was just imagining that the sunroom, or I mean the dining room, would be the place where they just sit together and eat together as a family rather than in the living room. So I made the living room a little bit smaller, and it's in a big open space. There's also an office for the mom there, but you'll see that once we move on to the living area. But basically, I was just really happy with the way that the floor plan for this house, how it ended up looking. I think it makes a lot of sense. It's very spacious, very open, which would also come in handy for gameplay, because when you're playing with a family of 7, it's a lot of Sims, so you're gonna want to have some space to just walk around, move around, and that's definitely what happened for this build, I think. And yeah, I just cluttered up the hallway. The hallway is really small, so that made it a little bit easier to decorate. I just placed a little bulletin board and like that other like schedule item that comes with university, because the hallway is kind of like the area that everyone walks through like more than a couple of times a day probably, so you could easily just write down your schedule. There's a lot of Sims, a lot of kids. They're all gonna have different schedules, different after school activities to attend and stuff like that. So I thought it would be a cute idea if there was just this kind of bulletin board or little organization area in the hallway where you can just write down your schedule and stuff like that, or write down like something for someone on a sticky note if you're not gonna see them that day or something. I just thought that would really come in handy for a big family. I thought that was very realistic. But here, as you can see, I moved on to the living area. As you can see, it's not that spacious. This TV area, at least, is not that spacious. There is no room for 7 Sims to sit down. I think there is room for 5 Sims to sit down. But I wasn't really imagining that the family would hang out there together with all 7 of them. I think they would do that in the dining room rather than in the living area. At least that's what I was thinking. So it's definitely a very nice and bright area where if you just want to sit down and read a book or just watch TV for a little bit. I just didn't think that this family would like watch TV a whole bunch. They obviously do from time to time, but yeah, that's just a cute little hangout area. Or you can just sit down and relax and watch TV, or like hang out with friends if you're having like friends over after school or something. And here I furnished a office space for the mom who is a principal at a high school. At first, I really wanted to give her a closed off office area, but that just didn't really work out for the floor plan. And I like this space to be a little bit more open so she can work there in her office area, but still not be completely isolated. So it could also sometimes maybe get a little bit annoying from time to time if there's a lot of people in the living room for some reason. That would be a little bit annoying if she's trying to work there or something. But I was just imagining she's the principal of a high school, so if she really has serious things to get done, she'll just work in her office at school or something, and this is just kind of a spot where she has her work items, some forms and papers laying around. She's a principal, but maybe she's also a teacher, like part-time or something, and maybe whenever she has some grading to do, she'll just do that there in her little office area. So I was definitely imagining that that is not a office area that any of the kids would use. I gave them different little computer areas, but you'll see that later on. I gave them sort of a homework area, study area upstairs, and then there is a kids homework area / play area downstairs here as well. But here you can see I moved on to the dining area, which is in the sunroom, and I really enjoyed this area. It's very light and bright, and there's lots of windows, obviously. And yeah, I just really like the colors that I use in here. It's pretty neutral, but still I like those pops of dark brown a lot. Now, when I play tested this this particular room, it didn't really work. Basically what happened is I placed the chairs, the table and the chairs in the center of the room, obviously, but then I ended up placing some cabinets on the back wall there, and then when I play tested it, my sim couldn't really move in between the cabinets and the chairs and the table. So I just moved around a couple of things. It doesn't really look any different once you download the build, but I just had to move it around a little bit for there to be a little bit more space. So what I ended up doing was I moved the cabinets a little bit into the wall, and I moved the table a little bit more toward the window. So there was a little bit more space to just walk around. I was already guessing when I was placing this that it wasn't gonna work, but I just really wanted to test it because I like the look of it. But yeah, it ended up not really working, so I just had to move a couple of things around, but it ended up working out just fine in the end. So once you download it, you won't really notice a big difference, but yeah. I just had to move around a couple of things, but yeah, as I mentioned, it worked out in the end, so I was really happy about it. I just placed a few like kids' drawings and stuff like that from the debug catalog at some random spots in the house because it is a family house in the end. So, and I was imagining the kids to be, you know, just kids being a little bit creative, making drawings and being all crafty from time to time. So I just wanted to make a spot to just hang up some of those drawings, and I did that in the dining area. I thought that was really cute. And here you can see that I furnished a little homework area for the kids. I placed a whole bunch of those school projects on a shelf here. They're also from debug, or they're not in debug, they're also just in the regular menu, but you won't see them unless you use the debug cheats. So that was kind of a little cute area where the kids could showcase their school projects. They're probably really proud of them, so I just gave them a little area where they can just where they can just put them down for everyone to see. And this is one of the little homework areas that I was talking about before. This is definitely more of a spot for the kids to do their homework because there's a lot of toys around, and I made it look just look really young and playful for the children. And I placed a little stereo right there so they can play some music if they wanted to. Now that craft box on the table is not functional, of course, but I really like the look of it. But I did make sure to actually place down one of the crafty tables in the game for the children to use because, I don't know, you want to have some of those children items if you're going to play in this house, because it would be a little bit of a problem if the children didn't really have anything to do. So I gave them one of those crafty tables or craft tables, but I placed those upstairs. And here you can see I moved on to the kitchen. I really like the color scheme in here. It's very bright and a little bit more modern looking. I was thinking that this kitchen was probably recently renovated. It's not too large of a kitchen because, I don't know, I just wasn't really thinking that the family would hang out all together here, though I did end up placing another little table with 2 or 3 chairs, I think 2 chairs in that little window area that you can't see right now. But what I wanted to do for this house, I just wanted to make sure that I had enough spots for your Sims to just sit down and maybe eat something or just read a book or do homework or something. I just wanted to make sure that I had enough spots to, for your Sims to just sit down and relax and do something. So I placed 2 bar stools, and then you'll see that in a little bit. I also placed down another table in here, more of like a little breakfast area. Or like I mentioned, if your Sim needs a spot to do their homework, if they need a quiet spot where there's no one around, they can just sit down there. Basically that's just what I wanted to do. I just wanted to make sure that there was enough spaces basically to just sit down, because I think that would be realistic. If you're gonna live in a household with 7 people, so it's gonna be you and 6 other people who are probably also gonna have friends over from time to time, it's gonna be a busy and noisy household. So you kind of want to be able to just pick a spot where at that certain moment no one else is around, if you just want to be alone or something. So yeah, I really enjoyed cluttering up the kitchen, as I always really enjoy. I didn't clutter it up too much, but I basically did clutter it up a whole bunch. But still realistic looking. It's still very well usable, the kitchen. There's lots of counter space, so you could have two Sims maybe cooking at the same time or something. I don't really know how that would work with the stove, but I thought that was a cute idea for just make it a little bit realistic. Maybe the moms sometimes want to cook together, have a little moment together. So there's enough counter space to chop up like greens or meals or something. And here is that little table area that I talked about before. It's really cute and I really enjoy that little area. I think I would use that a lot to just sit down and look outside the window and enjoy a meal or something. And here I am furnishing the laundry area. There is a half bathroom attached to this laundry room. I wanted to make it into a bathroom and laundry room all in one, but I decided against it. I thought it would make more sense to just close off the little half bathroom. There's literally only a toilet in there, but then there's a sink in the laundry room right here, so I thought that made a lot of sense. So your Sims can still use the bathroom if someone else is doing the laundry. I thought that would be very realistic and very convenient as well. So yeah, I definitely enjoyed decorating this this little half bathroom, and this is the only bathroom that I recorded, because I already knew from the get-go that this was going to be a little bit of a longer video because the build is pretty big. And all the bathrooms basically have the exact same flooring and wallpaper in them and the exact same furniture items, just the layout is a little bit different. So I didn't really want the video to become too repetitive, so I just decided to not record the other bathrooms. But basically, the moms, they have an ensuite bathroom to their bedroom, obviously, with a toilet, a sink, and a shower. It's very small, but it works perfectly fine. And then upstairs there is one full hall bathroom, and then there is an ensuite bathroom to the girls' bedroom. I thought that would be a fun idea because they're the only girls in the house and they have to share a bedroom, and I thought it would be fair to give them a little ensuite bathroom. I thought that would be a cute idea because the teen boy, he does have his own room. But it's a little bit smaller, and I thought it would be fair that if he gets his own bedroom, he would have to share a bathroom, of course, and make it a little bit smaller, his bedroom. But then the girls, their bedroom is pretty small and pretty cramped as well, but they do get their own full bathroom. I thought that was a cute idea. And then the other two kids, the other two boys, they share a bedroom as well, and that bedroom is a little bit more spacious because they need a bit more, a bit more room to just put their toys away and just a bit more room to play around. I, for example, also gave them a dollhouse, so you need a little bit more room for that, for those kinds of activities. So yeah, that's basically what I did for the bedroom and the bathroom situation. Now you can see that the mom's bedroom is not really too big, but it's a decent size. They do have a closet, and yeah, I really enjoy that room. It's not too cluttered, it looks really neat. But still very cozy, and yeah, just a nice little space. And here I decided to just put a couple of accent walls in there. I always like placing accent walls against the stairway, if that makes any sense, because you're gonna want to have the wallpaper downstairs match the wallpaper upstairs, at least in my opinion, otherwise it's gonna look weird. So I mostly use like some sort of brick for that because I think that just looks nice. But here on the landing area, I just decorated a tiny little spot with a dresser. I thought that dresser always looks so cute because it looks like not really a dresser where you store clothes in, but it looks like a little cabinet where you just store like photo albums and stuff like that, and just random little items, for example. And I thought that would work perfectly on the landing area. But here you can see I moved on to the girls' shared bedroom, and you can see on the left there that I gave them a little bathroom, a little ensuite. And I was definitely having a lot of fun with this bedroom because it is for two girls, and I always really enjoy furnishing bedrooms for younger girls. I've mentioned this before in other videos of mine as well, but I don't know. I just can basically, it gives me the opportunity to create the bedroom of my dreams that I would have wanted to have as a kid myself, or as a teen myself. So I always really enjoy furnishing bedrooms for girls and for teens and for children. For some reason, yeah, I just always really enjoy that. And I cluttered it up a whole bunch. I did have to remove some of the clutter because the purple bed, which is the bed for the kid, wasn't accessible. I think it's because I placed a doctor set kind of toy in front of that little shelf, so that blocked my sim from being able to get in the bed. So I did remove that item altogether because I couldn't find any other spot where it did work, and where my sim could still walk past it. So I just decided to delete that item when I was playtesting it, but it doesn't really make too much of a difference. So as I mentioned, this bedroom is for a teen and a kid who have to share the bedroom, and the teen is like a sophomore in high school and the kid is probably going to be a freshman like next year. So there's not too much of an age gap between those kids. So that makes it a little bit easier to decorate the bedroom. So there is a bunch of toys around for the kid to be able to play with, but I also gave them a little vanity area because I was thinking that the teen, she's into makeup and stuff like that, and I think her little sister is also trying a little bit more makeup herself. She's just playing around with it because she's going to go to high school in maybe like a year or so, and she just, yeah, her sister likes to help her, like giving her makeovers, and she likes to like teach her things about makeup and just kind of help her out with that kind of thing, just girls being girls together. And that's why I really enjoyed furnishing this bedroom, because there is kind of an age gap between the girls, but not too much. So they're still kind of into the same things, like there is some sort of overlap in their interests, and that makes it a little bit easier to kind of furnish the bedroom. But the bedroom is still really colorful and it looks really young. It's definitely not for an older teen by any means. So yeah, it's just a mixture of a little bit more sophisticated items and a little bit more items for kids, if that makes sense. I did make sure to place a toy box in here because I always like to have plenty of toy boxes whenever I have multiple kids in my household, because they're just nice, handy little items for gameplay. And here you can see I moved on to the teen boy's bedroom. So he has his own bedroom. He's very lucky in that way. But I didn't make it too luxurious. For example, I could have fit a smaller desk in here if I wanted to, but I decided against it because I kind of liked the idea of the teens having to get out of their bedroom and just use the study area or study downstairs on the dining table or something like that. I didn't want the bedrooms to be too self-sufficient, if that makes any sense. Like, I didn't want the bedrooms to have all the items you would possibly need. So I just gave them, basically I gave this teen, I gave him a place to sleep and I gave him a place to store his clothes and just a little area here where he can just hang out if he has friends over or something like that. And I was imagining this boy to be a little bit more of a rebel, I guess. Not that he's like a bad person or anything, but he's just a little bit more on the like alternative side, I was thinking. And I was thinking that he's probably really into music as well. And I was thinking that he and his sister, his twin sister, they share the interest of music. So they are probably in a band together. And what I really enjoyed was, you'll see that later on, I built a shed in the backyard because the backyard is very spacious, and I was very happy that I had a place to finally build a shed, because I never do that. I either don't think about it or I just don't have the room. But for now, I did have the room and I did think about it, so I gave them a shed and I furnished that. I kind of made that the inside part of the shed into a little band area or band practice area. So I was thinking that the teens, they are in a band together with a couple of their schoolmates, and they just practice in that little shed every like week or every weekend or something. I thought that was a really fun idea. So I was thinking that the teens, they are probably very into music. But yeah, you'll see that once we move on to the backyard and to the shed. But here, this is that little homework area that I was talking about before. It's a homework area with 2 computers because, I mean, there's 7 children, so the teens are probably gonna use it for homework. I mean, that's not a thing in the game in The Sims. You don't need a computer to do your homework, but it is very realistic. So I just placed down 2 computers so 2 kids can use the computer at once. And then I made sure to place down one of those craft tables in here as well, like I mentioned before. And a whole bunch of knickknacks on the walls and on the desk there. And I also placed down another toy box because I did have the space for it, and I was thinking, why not? I just kind of wanted to create a whole bunch of areas for the kids to be able to be kids and play. And here I moved on to the last bedroom, finally. I know it's a lot of bedrooms. I hope it's not too repetitive, but I do think that the bedrooms are very different. So that makes it a little bit more fun to watch. But as I mentioned, this bedroom is for 2 boys. They are younger. They are definitely a little bit younger than their older sisters and brothers. So they do play with toys a whole bunch. I gave them a lot of toys in here, and I just basically really made it look like a children's bedroom, like kids that basically just grew up out of the toddler stage. If you want to use it in gameplay, that's what I had in mind as far as the age of these boys go. And I just placed down a whole bunch of toys up on those shelves. I think it looks very cute with those paintings that I placed on them. I never use those paintings. I, for some reason, always forget that they exist. And they're also pretty far down in the catalog. So for some reason, I always forget that they exist, and then whenever I do see them, I already used some other painting. So for this room, I didn't forget, and I was very happy that I was able to place them down. And as you can see, I just placed down a dollhouse in the corner here, and I placed down a whole bunch of posters and stuff like that. And then that toy box there that is not functional, but it looks really cute. So I figured it doesn't really matter because there's a whole bunch of toy boxes in this house. They're definitely going to have more than enough toy boxes to just play with basically. So I figured I could use that fake toy box just to make it look pretty and cute. But that was that for the inside of the house. It's finally done. And I moved on to the backyard. I gave them this little dining area on the back porch here. I think it looks really cute. It's really small, but it works perfectly fine. There's not too much of a porch, space around this house. So that's one of the reasons why I decided to give them a little shed, because that also gave me the opportunity to kind of create an outside area with a roof over it to just create another little sitting area. That's what I did for this shed. I think it looks very nice. It's very basic, but I do think it looks very nice still. Definitely looks like a shed. I should play around with this idea a little bit more, because this is definitely the very first time that I ever built a shed. Because like I mentioned, I just never think of it, or I just don't have the space. But because this household is so big and there's probably a lot going on all the time, the kids have friends over, they basically just need more than one spot to be able to just hang out and be kids, basically. So that's why I decided to make this inside area into a band area. I'll do that a little bit later on. You'll see that a little bit later on. But basically, I created a little sitting area underneath the little roof piece here. I think it looks very nice. It definitely looks a bit more on the luxurious side of things. I definitely do think that the parents, I don't know, they probably splurged a little bit on that, on the little sofa and everything that I placed down, just so that they can have a nice spot to hang out in the summer when it's a little bit warmer. They could still just have a very nice area to just sit outside and just hang out outside. I also placed a grill, not underneath the roof, but outside the shed, on the side of the shed. I gave them a little grill area, and I placed down a very big tree with some picnic tables underneath. So they basically do have their own sort of park area. I think it looks very much like a park. Just a very tiny area, but I do think it looks really cute. So you can definitely have like a barbecue party or something. I didn't give this house a pool. I did have more than enough space, more than enough room to give them a pool, but I just decided against it because I thought that's just too luxurious and it doesn't really fit in with the family that lives here and with the house, for example. So yeah, I just decided to not give them a pool, but I did give them a very big gardening area. So I was thinking that one of the moms, or maybe both the moms, really like gardening in their spare time. So I placed down Patchy and oh yeah, I was also thinking that one of the moms would be very much into painting as a hobby. So I made this into a little band area, but also I placed down an easel because it's a nice little skill building item to have in your game. But also because I was thinking that one of the moms could be into painting as a hobby. So she paints in her free time. Yeah, and I thought that just was a nice little opportunity to clutter up this space and make it look realistic and kind of lived in. Yeah, I just really enjoyed that little area. It was very quick and easy. But it made a lot of sense to me. And I also gave them that craft table, that woodworking table outside. I don't really know, maybe one of the moms likes to just craft things on that table as well. But basically I just had a lot of space in the backyard here. So I kind of wanted to take that opportunity to place down lots of different skill building items that I normally don't really put in my builds. So I was really happy that I could do that. But here is that big tree that I was talking about. You can see that I placed down a grill there on the side of the shed, and I placed down these picnic tables because I thought it looks cute, and it's just something different than what I usually do, because usually I just place down a large dining table with chairs outside, and that looks very nice and very like luxurious. But for this house, I thought it would make sense to just give them a little picnic area because there's probably going to be a lot of kids hanging out here as well, and they can just, whenever they're like celebrating their birthday or something, they can just come over and have a little barbecue party and play around, run around in the backyard. That is very spacious. I also placed down one of those jungle bar items right there, so it would be the perfect place for kids to just run around and hang out and play. And I also placed down the bees and the flower arranging table. So there is a lot of opportunity for your Sims to just build up some skills. I thought that was really nice for this house. But basically that is pretty much it for the build. So I really hope that you enjoyed this build. You can download it off the gallery. My username on the gallery is Simmarysims. You can also follow me on Instagram and on Twitter if you like. My handle on Instagram and Twitter is Simmarysims as well. So yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next build. Bye!